All right. All right. So we are here this week. It is Wednesday, April 13th. And of course, as I do every week, let me let the group know that I am live. So just a moment. Just a moment. Hmm. Let's see here. Okay, so we have uh okay, so we're on our stream. Mushroom, how you doing, man? Hope all is well with you. Hope all is well with you. Big mushroom. Yeah, whoever's here, see there's a few of you now. Feel free to say hi, let us know where you're from. Awesome. Good to know. Good to know. Hey, Mark. Good to see you, man. Been a little while, and hope everything's going well with you on your end. Very cool to see you. Um, let's see here. So I got a few questions I'll be answering. But as I've been doing every week, I've been waiting till we hit the 5 minute mark before I start doing any answering. So give some people some time to sort of hop in, get situated. Um, and for anyone that is watching this recording, feel free to get through to the 5 minute mark because that's when I'll start answering some questions. Let's see. Uh, okay, so one question I'll answer, which comes up all the time, really, but I'm happy to answer it again, is what made me start a call center company, and and then also, what are important things that make clients stick around longer. Uh, Mark, yes, in the course, I do suggest that. And honestly, it's such an easy question. I'll just answer that right now. Um, Mark asked, I'm going to wait till the 5 minute mark. So 2 more minutes, and then I will answer that question. So, if you got the patience to wait 2 minutes, you'll get your question answered. Mushroom, man. I love saying the name Mushroom. I was on a bachelor party, at a bachelor party not too long ago, and there was a bunch of us, and there was a guy named Mushroom in our bachelor party. And one of the things we decided to do was, whenever we spotted Mushroom, we go, Mushroom! And then the entire group of 15, 20 of us would go, Mushroom! And it was like a crescendo of Mushroom. So it's a very fun name to say. If you're at home and you're listening to this, just say Mushroom very loud. If you're in a crappy mood, I promise you it'll make you feel a little better. Say Mushroom! In Mushroom we trust. So yeah, it's been sort of a crazy few weeks. A couple weeks ago, I had the flu, not COVID, but the flu. I thought I had COVID, but tested negative for that. And also, it appears as though I've never had COVID, so that's good. And then two, my dog, my puppy Lucky, a dog, I guess, he's coming up on 11 months old. Um, he had sort of a life threatening episode. He was bleeding all over the place. And so we had to find a specialist to do an emergency surgery. Like a regular vet couldn't do it. We had to find like a surgeon, like an animal surgeon. And but we got it done. And so the last 2 weeks, as of today, the surgery was 2 weeks ago today. So the last 2 weeks he's been recovering, and you know he finally got the cone of shame off last night, and he's been running around. He's freaking hyper as all hell, and it's as if nothing happened as far as he's concerned. But yeah, it was definitely pretty scary. And now we are back in action and doing our thing. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. Mark, if you're still here, thanks so much for your patience, man. So what Mark asked was in my course, which is the call center cash course. The reason this channel exists is because we're getting information on how to start a call center company, but more specifically, a virtual receptionist company. Okay, so some of you, that are hopping on this channel, considering starting a call center, and I do, you know, um, I do sort of consult on call center operations in all kinds of different facets within the broader call center space. So if you need some, consulting, feel free to hit me up. Just email me, Donald at callcenterclass.com, CLASS, not cash, but class. Um, and, we can talk that out. But anyway, if you're looking into the course, it's specific to the company that I ran myself, which was a virtual receptionist company. And frankly, Mark, as it pertains to just about I would say every business I've actually done that can be run entirely online, right, which includes this, uh, I recommend Stripe. So it's very simple. Uh, the nice thing is that it integrates with everything. I mean, it's a giant company now in terms of market value. I would say, hey, Bearju, good to see you here, man. Bearju is my brother-in-law, and he's going to graduate. Is it next? In a few weeks. In a few weeks, he graduates. So very exciting. So yeah, Mark, I recommend Stripe. Now, Stripe, I think they're like $100 billion company now. They're the best 21st century sort of online emphasis payment processor there is. And I talk about in the course, obviously not just mentioning it, but also how to set it up, how to integrate it with the payment like intake form that I recommend and onboarding form that I recommend. So I show you step by step how to integrate that stuff and get you set up, among other things, obviously. Um, but yeah, Stripe's great. Again, it integrates with everything. An accounting software that I tend to recommend, I didn't even talk about this in the course, but it's called Wave, Wave Accounting. And Wave is pretty good. I would say it's better than QuickBooks, which a lot of people are annoyed with, frankly. And you can you can integrate Wave with Stripe, directly, and so it's pretty nice. And then the whole Wave thing. There's a lot of great reporting in Stripe, but the Wave thing gives you some better reporting, uh, especially in terms of keeping track of who hasn't paid certain invoices yet. Um, and getting a slightly, I guess, more in-depth visual depiction of how your business looks, because frankly, this business is it's a recurring business. All of your revenue should be recurring. Every now and then you get a client that don't stick around for 1 month, but the business model for the company is that all of your clients pay you every single month. So yeah, hope that fully answered that question. Now, again, for those of you that aren't aware, the purpose of these calls every single week that I've been doing, every now and then I miss a week, but 80%, 90% of the time I'm here. Purpose of these calls is for anyone that's considering this business or business in general to hop on, ask whatever questions you've got, and I'm happy to answer them. I tend to come prepared with a few questions. that I'm already ready to answer in case none of you guys have questions. But it seems every week we always have a few people coming in, and so we. I just want to make sure that there's valuable content each week. So regardless of whether there are people here to ask questions, I make sure there's a couple questions that I've pre-written to answer. Okay, so one of the questions that I had pre-written to answer, courtesy of the wife, is what made you start a call center company? So, again, I have talked about this before, but I think it's important to go over it. Starting to get a little dark out, so I'm going to turn the light behind me on just a moment. Uh, okay. Um, so, what made you start a call center company? So, one of the reasons I decided to start a call center company was because I was looking for something, really as an additional project to work on. I had been running, I was silent partner in a startup, and then I've been running a cleaning company with my dad for about a year, a little bit over a year. And I was looking for, was always keeping my, I was always keeping my mind open for new opportunities and such. And I had, in the course of running the call center, the cleaning company, I had a desire or need to start to have calls answered for that company. So in a cleaning company, we were getting a bunch of people calling for whatever reason, and we wanted to make sure that all the calls were answered and handled well. And I wanted to have more flexibility as I went about my day. If I was on the golf course, I was just starting to get into playing golf and stuff. So especially during the summer in Chicago, try to take advantage. But during the day, people are trying to call. So if I'm in the middle of around, not the best situation to answer question, and then of course try to book people for an appointment on my phone. I would do it, but it wasn't the best scenario. So I was looking for a scenario someone else could do it because I knew there were services that exist. So when I looked into services that existed, I realized that these services, they're really cool. They're very valuable for what I need, and because they're so valuable for my needs as a cleaning business owner, I knew that it would be valuable as a service for other cleaning business owners. And I also at the time knew a lot of other cleaning business owners that could use the service that didn't currently have the service. And so I decided to reverse engineer the little information I could sort of figure out about the few virtual receptionist companies that already existed, right? Um, and I linked up with a partner, and we decided to launch this thing. So it was a complete opportunistic situation to take care of a problem that I had within my own life, in running businesses. I solved my own problem, and in that, ended up solving a lot of other businesses' problems in terms of phone handling. So that's why I started the company. Yeah, so any questions you guys might have, I can talk all day, but I want to make sure that you guys are getting your questions answered. So whoever's here, at least let us know where you're from, and yeah, just let me know if you have any questions. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. All right, Bill, you asked a good question. Give me just a moment, and I will get to answering that. I can just a second here. I'm gonna have to grab my other phone. Give me 2 seconds. Hey, Tahisha. I hope I'm saying that right, Tahisha. Good to see you. Tahisha, one of our. Oh, here it is. Tahisha, one of our students. She is working on launching, so I'm very excited for you. You've gotten a lot done so far, And Tahisha, if you could tell everybody, I really hope I'm not going your name up, but Tahisha, if you could tell everybody, how the course is going for you, that would be great. Okay. Um, all right. So, Bijou asked, what are the most important skills for a call center representative? So that's a very good question. You know, when you're hiring, obviously there's certain things that you're looking for, sort of as a prerequisite for the people that are going to be working for you. Oh, I'm glad I'm saying it right, Tahija. Um, and the prerequisites aren't there aren't a lot of them, right? There's certain things that they'll learn while working the job. But in terms of prerequisites, there aren't a lot, but there's a few important things. And so the thing that I look for when hiring a receptionist first is that they have good communication skills, right? Obviously, if they're taking a job where they're interacting with people on the phone every day, we want them to have good communication skills, be able to articulate themselves well, present themselves well as far as their phone voice, their attitude, their demeanor, and their ability to learn rapport, build rapport with the caller. Um, and so, I think that when you interview certain candidates, obviously the beautiful thing about interviewing on the phone is that you can get a sense of what their phone skills are by talking to them on the phone, right? Uh, Call center etiquette, of course, is their own set of skills, but they're really not that difficult if you're already pretty good on the phone. If someone's able to hop on the phone and have a nice conversation with you, excuse me, their voice sounds good. They make you feel pleasant. The only thing that I really look for is that like you feel charmed by them. You feel like, you're a little bit in a slightly better mood by the time you hop off the phone with them. You got a smile or a smirk on your face when you're done talking to them on the phone, right? Um, if they can elicit that type of reaction from you and it's effortless and the conversation flows well and you got like a good thing going, then that candidate will likely elicit the same type of reaction and positive response, right, from the callers, which means they'll represent your company well, they'll represent your client's companies well as the receptionist for those businesses. And frankly, that's like 50% or more of the entire job, right? Making callers feel good on the phone. Even if a caller's frustrations or concerns or desires aren't fully handled, maybe because we don't have the ability or knowledge to do that in the moment, if they can hop off the phone and feel like they had a good conversation with someone, then frankly, we're doing a good job on behalf of our clients, right? Um, the other thing is the upbeat people tend to be better workers, better people to work with. So I'm spending a long time talking about that because I really can't overemphasize it. Another thing that I look for is the ability. I mean, it's not really necessarily a skill, but it's a habit, I guess, or a trait, which is reliability. Reliable people are important for any job, but I think you need to be even like super reliable when it comes to being able to show up for a work at home job, and especially in a situation where you have a lot of autonomy, someone's not peering over your shoulder while you're working, right? Like you're not in the office where there's managers and supervisors standing around. You're just by yourself. You maybe got some family members in the house, and you got to stay focused and do your job. And so some people don't have the focus to work a job like that, but of course you're going to require it if you're running a company. um, and so that's another thing that I look for, and frankly that's something that you find out on the job, and you can glean that a little bit from how they present themselves, maybe from their past work history, and also if you check in on the references, right? uh, and I guess the third thing that I look for is, some type of written skills. So, the way our application works, if they fill out the application, you can get a pretty good sense of whether their skills are up to par or up to standard for the position. not that difficult. It's just a matter of being able to articulate yourself in a written way. Your grammar's good, your spelling's good, and you're thorough and descriptive enough to actually answer the question rather than completely seeming like you don't care at all and just having lazy responses. So someone simply respond to all of the fields in the application in a sufficient satisfactory way. you know the crazy thing is that will put them in the top 30% of candidates already. So those are the three things that I look for. Other things, pretty much, you can train them once they start the job. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. Bill, you great question. Tahija said, the course is wonderful. I learned a lot, and my launch date is set for April 25th, 2022. So thank you for letting us know that. Really excited for that. And thank you. And, again, Tahija, even though you're a student, you might have some questions for us. And, if you want, I'll also see you on the tribe call, which is going to be starting in 34 minutes. And congratulations on the launch date. That's 2 Mondays from now, so that's cool. Very excited about that. With your Mark asked, with your other company that sources customer care reps from Bosnia, are they pre-trained? They're not pre-trained. What we typically do, though, is we make sure that they typically have experience in the work. So if they have experience in the work, and then frankly, they have the traits that I just talked about just now, if they have those traits, then they're going to learn up on the job really quickly anyway, right? Oftentimes in this case for 8 staff, in which is that company, we're hiring for people that are just launching out of the tribe. And so what happens is that, and Tahija, actually, I think she's going to be hiring one of our agents. And what happens is that, most of the times these people coming out of the tribe are launching completely new companies. And so because of that, it's not like the new agent that we hired for them and sourced for them, it's taking 100 calls to them. They're not. They're taking, maybe 5 to 15, maybe 20 calls to them. And so your first agents are sort of ramping up in a very smooth, easy way as your company is getting itself together and is slowly ramping up, right? And then, by the time your company starts getting enough clients to really fill up the bandwidth of your first agent or two, those agents have enough experience, a few months experience at least, to be able to train up newer agents that are coming in, right? We've had a lot of situations where, the first 8 staff and agents that get employed end up being lead agents and supervisors, for additional agents that come in as that company grows. So, one guy, he's hired like 12 different agents from us. Another guy hired I would say 7 or 8 agents from us. And the first agent we hired is not only just a supervisor, she's now the operations manager for the company. So, she's running operation. She doesn't even take calls anymore, I don't believe. Let's see. Okay, cool. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Mark. I'm really rambling a bit, but I hope that answers your question. Okay. So Birju asked another good question. What are the key attributes of a call center executive? Well, when you first start in your company, there's not really an executive team, right? It's just a situation where, it's either you, or if you're really trying to, distance yourself from the business in terms of operations when you start it, you ought to have a partner or some type of operations manager that you hire from day one. And there's a few people that have done that. And so the attributes of a call center executive, it depends on the role. Starting off, when you're running the company, you got to wear basically all the hats, right? When I started, I had a partner. So I handled mostly, I handled finances. I handled like sales, like on the phone sales, um, and talking to any prospects and that type of deal. And I handled the majority of figuring out all the tools and pieces we would be utilizing as we put our business together and grew our business, and the implementation for the most part of those tools. My partner handled a lot of our content marketing, almost all of it. He handled the managing of our receptionist, and he handled putting together like standard operating procedure, making sure that we had our training done. And he also helped in terms of sort of um, the quality assurance of our agents, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, and then of course addressing any questions or concerns our clients had specific to agents. I addressed things specific to like billing and stuff. He addressed things specific to agent performance. So, those were the hats that we sort of wore starting off. And then, as we grew, our roles sort of evolved and changed. And eventually, once we got to a certain size, one, I bought him out. And then once we grew beyond that, I started hiring people to slot in to fill new roles and responsibilities and you know, I got problems and issues that we had to tackle at the business group. Um, so the attributes, right? The attributes are being able to be a self starter, being able to work in an environment where everything's on you. You certainly don't need anyone managing you at all. Um, you need to be calm under pressure. You need to be someone that has some level of assertiveness as a leader. And you need to be in a situation where you take accountability and ownership of what it is you are tasked to do. If you don't fulfill your responsibility and duty within your role as an executive in the organization, especially a small one, then the company's not going to function properly, and it might create a situation where the company could, have some real issues or fail. And so the attributes are you need to do everything that you're supposed to do. If you don't know how to do it, then you figure out how to do it. You learn, you continue to sort of do what you need to do to be on top of everything. That's it. So, if you're the CEO, but really you're like the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, then you're the CEO of all things finance. You own that. So I hope that helped. Hey, Bill, good to see you, man. Another person that's in the group, in the tribe. So tell us, how the course worked out for you, if you wouldn't mind. Good to see you in here. And Bill, the actual tribe calls in 27 minutes at 7:30 Central Time, and we're going to do a Zoom meeting. So I'll send you the link to that. I'll message you directly the link right if we're launching that call. But if you got any questions for this call, feel free to ask right now. This is recorded, so it will be beneficial to other people. Whatever questions you got that I can answer here, and then other people that are considering this business can take that knowledge and run with it. Okay, Mark asked, did you have a virtual group meetup or meeting with your reps? Yeah, especially once we got to a certain size, there were times. It's funny. A lot of people in my situation, especially once they got to a certain size, they they wanted to sort of standardize meeting times, and I didn't do that. What I really did was I got a sense of how everything was going. I kept my pulse on everything, which is still pretty easy, even if you have 100 people, especially in this business, because most of them are agents, and it's just not a huge management team at that time. Um, and so when it comes to that, thank you, Bill. Course is amazing. Highly recommends it. Boom. Um, so as far as meetings, we didn't have them at set intervals, but there were times where I would feel called upon to schedule a meeting. So the important thing was to make sure that whatever the vision was for the company, we wanted to make sure that everyone was sort of trending toward that vision, right? And I can't remember exactly our vision anymore, but essentially the vision was to create the best experience for our callers possible, right? So that we can represent the interest of our client as best as possible. Our goal as a virtual receptionist company is to essentially replace the in-house receptionist. And so the in-house receptionist is considered the best experience you can have in terms of someone intaking your calls and handling your call as a small business, right? And generally, outside third-party services such as ours that are answering services, they're just a body picking up the phone. They're not an advocate for the business. Uh, but the virtual receptionist component, we go beyond the service level and standards of a traditional answering service, and that's why we call ourselves virtual receptionists. We're receptionists instead of just answerers. And so, in being a receptionist, which happened to be virtual, right, we're still assuming the roles, responsibilities, and standards of that in-house receptionist, that on-premise receptionist, but we're just virtual. And so, as a service, we need to make sure that everything we do is in line with that sort of service level, those standards, so that again, our businesses are doing well and thriving, partially as a result of us and the service that we're providing. That's the vision, because if you're doing that, then people will stick around, and getting people, clients of yours to stick around for longer is the most effective way to grow your company. More so than, let's say a 10% uptick in your ability to sell and land new clients, right? If you can keep your current client retained 20% longer versus, maybe not caring as much about your client retention, but landing 10% more clients, where you're going to end up with more revenue by retaining your client for 20% longer. So our first goal with client retention, and then our second goal with doing what we could in terms of actually landing clients. And so, sometimes we sort of had to remind people of that. We had to remind them that they were part of a team. If there was something specific that was starting to permeate the company in a way that was negative, then, we tended to handle it. But those meetings weren't just about handling the negative thing, they were also about building excitement, right? Even in good time, people want to feel like they're a part of something because they're all working from home and sort of isolated in a way. They are chatting with you people all day, and so you get some camaraderie there. But it is nice to sort of have like a hands-on meeting, all hands on deck meeting, and again, just sort of feel the power of all the other people there that are in the organization, and it's just very powerful, just the presence in that virtual room. So when you're able to have a meeting, bring everyone together, and tell everyone the same thing at the same time, right? Nothing's lost in translation. Everyone can get on the same page. And when everyone's on the same page, the engine and the ship runs a lot more smoothly. So I didn't have set intervals for that. I just did it as needed. It's probably something where you can start, start to be a requirement once you get to a certain company size, maybe 250 or more people. But at 100 people, we ended up doing it every 2 or 3 months. But it would be based off of, the pulse. You just feel the pulse, you keep your finger on the pulse, and when you feel it's needed, you schedule it 2 weeks out on a, time when your coverage isn't happening. So for us, we just did it on Saturday morning. And of course, we paid for those meetings. And that's it. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I wasn't like solving world hunger during these meetings. It was just sort of a powwow to get everyone together. So I hope that answers your question, Mark. So I do have to go in a few minutes here. Main important things that make clients stick around longer. That's the other question I intended to answer. So, again, I just talked about client retention. What are the things that keep clients sticking around longer? Well, the first is by the nature of this type of company. It's a very intimate relationship, right? You're taking calls. You are the first person that a lot of people that are reaching out to their business talk to. Your first contact. You're the fence. You're the gate. You are the greeter. You're standing at the pearly gate, letting them know whether they're going to be in this new heaven with your client business or not. And so that's a big responsibility. But if you're doing a good job, it's the type of thing that, business owners, your clients don't want to switch up every month. You don't want to just pass on a responsibility that important to your business to other vendors each month. And so when they sign up with you and they become happy with you, hopefully, they just get into a rhythm and it's not something they want to change. And so they can become pretty entwined with your business as a part of their business, right? It becomes an integral part of their operation, how their calls are handled, right? And so, with them sticking around for a long time anyway, it really becomes a matter of sort of meeting the client where they're at. Some people, they don't care to talk to anyone very often. We'll talk to them once or twice a year. And so, essentially, what you do there is just let them know periodically that you value them as a client, and proactively ask them if there's any feedback that they might have about the service that you're providing, or if there's anything you can improve upon. For clients that, for whatever reason, talk to you more often, it's more so about going above and beyond to making sure that you're always addressing and, going beyond satisfactory in terms of handling whatever concern or praise that client had, right? Um, you know, if you're presenting the best version of yourself all the time, then that's the best way to handle and keep your client. In the case of some client, and actually, Ruby Receptionist was really good at this, and we started to take a cue from them. They would have agents that would have like arts and crafts, and they would like send out little thank you pieces of mail and little like gifts and stuff on certain birthdays. We didn't do a lot of that, but we did some of it. It's the type of thing where, business owners know that you're thinking about them. And, people just enjoy things like that. Other than that, this is still technically a pretty simple service offering. It can seem intimidating for those that aren't in the business already, but by and large, it's a pretty simple service offering. And with it being a pretty simple service offering, if you're just doing what you're supposed to do, doing what you said you're going to do as a service provider, and you're doing it to the best of your ability, which hopefully is beyond satisfactory, then the only reason you should be losing that client is if there is a significant enough change in their business to warrant a change. And usually that won't have much to do with the quality of your service or anything that may be going wrong with your service, but more so just a change in need where that client just doesn't have a need for your services anymore. Okay. So that's it. Hope I was helpful to you guys this week. Been doing about 40 minutes of talking. Need more water. Then I'll be doing these every week. As we start to have more people show up each week, I think there's going to be some momentum now that I'm doing these every week for a while. And so at a certain point, I might start these at 6 so that I have a half hour longer to talk to you guys. But again, if you guys got any questions that I haven't answered, feel free to type them in the comments after the video ends, and then I can address them either during the week or I can address them next week. So, and then you can also just reach me directly if you like. And then for those of you that are watching and might be sort of lurking and figuring things out, again, I do offer a course on how to start a call center business. You can reach that course and learn more about it at this link. And there's also a free 4-day email course available at this link. It's a 4-day email on different topics regarding the call center business and virtual receptionist business. So other than that, guys, really appreciate you all. For those of you here that have already joined the program and are in the tribe, which I'll tell you right now, Paul Joseph says it over and over again. He's doing, 50,000 a month or more after a year. He keeps saying that the real value of this is the group. The program is great, but the real value is in the group. Being able to talk to people that are myself as well that have launched their businesses, you know, every single week on these calls is absolutely legendary. You get more than just my perspective. We go really in depth and we walk people through the process as they're going through the process. So that's it. I'm not going to sell too much. Appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you all next week.